Time for the only radio show of its kind. Auctioneers of antiques, collectors of cool, veterans of vintage. It's the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer. For the next hour, enjoy great information about buying and selling antiques and collectibles, and some interesting stories. Now, the Donley Auctions Hour.
Welcome to the Donley Auctions Hour. Thank you for joining us. We're here every Saturday at 1 o'clock. Hi, everyone. I'm Susan. I'm here with Randy Donley. We are the owners of Donley Auctions in Union, Illinois, just 60 miles west of Chicago. And we're here today to have some interesting stories about items that we would hope you want to sell at auction. Hi, Randy.
Hey, Susan. It's always good to be with you on this show.
Well, it's good to be here. And, you know, before I forget, today is December 9th, but I want to acknowledge what happened 82 years ago on December 7th. I think it's important to acknowledge the anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor, December 7th.
Absolutely incredible. Yes, everything that has happened then and since with our military. It's just our hats off to all of our veterans. We are always in awe of what they've done for us to keep this country to the point that it's at.
A lot of history has passed through our hands, and a lot of Pearl Harbor artifacts and relics have also been up for auction. But 82 years ago, December 7th, a day that will live in infamy.
It certainly is. And to that point, you're always maybe getting mad at me about my stories. But years ago, right down the block here in Marengo, there was a woman whose father fought in the military and was actually at Pearl Harbor. And she had his uniform. But more importantly than even the uniform, because we do so much in guns, she had his M1 Garand rifle that he actually stood on the deck of a ship shooting at Japanese aircraft as they were flying by, this M1 rifle. And for years and years, I used to always tell her, when you're ready, let us know. I know you don't want to sell it now, because she didn't really have any relatives to leave it to. I'll get back to you. And then at one point she said, oh, no, she was working at an antique mall. She said somebody came in and, was collecting uniforms, so I sold him the uniform. And I said, well, what about the gun? She said, oh, that's gone too. And I thought, oh my goodness, no. An actual Garand rifle that was documented. This would have gone for such a premium, but again, she sold it and did not auction off. That was the only opportunity I've really had to have.
That would have been great.
Yeah.
Well, we've had some great stuff come through. I know we've had like newspapers. There's even G.I. Joe sailors out there. Some license plates, propaganda posters, flight jackets,
all Pearl Harbor related,
stuff, aircraft, artifacts and fragments.
Yeah, we even
Remember
had
when we had that piece of the plane.
We had a scrap off of a Japanese Zero aircraft. A big piece of aluminum that was actually taken from the wing of an aircraft. So yes, we sell it all. But we're today, folks. We are going to be talking. Beyond the military, we're going to actually be talking about, Susan, beer signs today.
That's one of my favorite subjects, beer. So that'll be fun. But
yes, it is.
That'll be coming up in a later segment, so don't go anywhere, folks.
It is, but I did want to start, since we mentioned Pearl Harbor and everything, I did want to mention that gun sales are at an all-time high across the country.
Right, I wonder why.
Well, yeah, with everything going on, defund the police and crime, at an all-time high and everything else, gun sales are also at an all-time high. And this last Black Friday was the third highest day in history of gun sales. Out of the top 10 days, this was the third highest of all.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I know several people who went out shopping specifically for that.
Well, I don't know if people understand that there's over 1 million sales per month in firearms right now because people are so concerned about everything that's going on and they want home protection and so on. This has been going on for like the last 4 years, these kind of gun sales. And the reason I bring that up is because we're just a week away from our gun auction. And
I'm just so glad we're in the firearm business, aren't you?
Yes.
I mean, we've held 5 firearm auctions this year, and I think next year in 2024 we're going to have a lot more, don't you?
Well, without a doubt, because it is such an important auction that we do. Important to everybody. I mean, not just the buyers, but people that need to sell guns too. In order to get top dollar, what do we always say? Need to sell at auction
right.
Because you'll get more at auction.
I think every single day we get calls for people, hey, you guys buy guns, you sell guns, I need to sell my guns. So if you do and you're out there listening right now, write this down. Email us first at consign, CONSIGN, at donleyauctions.com. Send us your name, phone number, what you have, where you're located, and some photos if you can. And I will put you in touch with Neil, our firearm expert, to give you the next steps.
Well, and speaking of Neil, I did ask him to come on this morning so that we could promote. Now, once again, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be talking about more than guns in our next segments. But right now, we've got Neil with us. Hey, Neil.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good morning, Neil.
Doing good. I wanted to talk to you about what's being sold this weekend because, with gun sales being, over the top and crazy and Christmas around the corner, there's a lot of people want to buy guns for Christmas gifts or buying their own gifts.
That's right. I have a few on my list, too, by the way. But let me clarify. The auction that's coming up is December 16th and 17th. It's a Saturday and a Sunday. We'll give you that information again later. But, Neil, tell us some highlights that are coming up on the 16th.
You're talking about World War II and Pearl Harbor. I've got some great guns right now. I've got some Grands that are 5 or 6 great Grands over there. I've got M1 carbines. I've got an IBM, and I've got a Rockola.
Carbines. Those are pretty scarce, yeah.
It's really neat because the IBM is just the IBM that you guys know about, the computer place. They were building guns when were needed in World War II. Same with Rockola.
Really?
Yeah, it's so funny. There's so many of the companies during World War II that were making other products like Rockola Jukebox or, as you say, IBM making typewriters and everything. They had to retool for the war effort after Pearl Harbor and jump into the business of manufacturing equipment and arms for military use.
They had to do what they had to do, and everybody just turned over and did what they had to do, so...
a great time in this country when everybody pulled together. Everybody was together for a common purpose, and that's to make this country what it is today, the greatest country on earth. Unfortunately, we're not seeing that so much anymore. No. I don't know if we could have won World War II in the current climate. So, but what else do we have?
Yeah, I've got 600 guns here. I've got something for everybody. I've got cowboy reenactors. I've got great lever actions, both new and vintage. I've got an old 71 Winchester over there. It's a fantastic gun. We've got military rifles and handguns from Civil War, World War I, World War II. There's some great stuff here, including a couple muskets from Civil War that's been professionally done. They're beautiful.
And of course, but I want to jump right in there, Neil, because I don't want people to think we're just selling vintage guns. Talk about some of the home protection items that we have. I mean, some of the pistols and things that people might want.
Absolutely. I've got old handguns. I've got new handguns. I've got stuff, it could have been bought a week ago. It's that new.
Wow.
One of the things that I recommend normally for home defense is a shotgun.
That's not a bad
great home defense gun, and I've got them. We have a little bit of everything. So.
Neil, when someone comes to our auction, what do they need to have in order to buy a firearm or handle the firearms?
Absolutely. Everybody needs some form of a state ID. driver's license, state ID, something like that. And if you're an Illinois resident, you must have a FOID card, a firearms owner's identification card.
And that's only in the state of Illinois, isn't it? Are there FOIDs anywhere else?
Correct. There's something similar to it in one or two other states, but that's about it. Most states run off your driver's license.
And truly, Illinois is one of the toughest states on gun control, anywhere in the United States.
It really is. It really is.
But it's not reducing our crime, folks. So there's that. So
otherwise, it's pretty straightforward. We do have a 72-hour wait with any gun. If you're picking it up here, you fill out a simple ATF form, and I do a background check during the 72 hours.
Wonderful. Neil, thank you for that information. I appreciate everything you do for us, keeping us in line with the ATF. Don't go anywhere, folks. We have more stories coming up. And again, if you want to call us at 815-923-7000 if you have something you want to consign.
And we're going to be talking about beer signs just a moment.
Not just beer, huh? Okay, we'll talk about beer
folks.
too. All right, thank you. You're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour right here on AM 560, The Answer.
They've been called auctioneers of antiques, collectors of cool, even veterans of vintage. And they can introduce themselves. Thanks for listening. This is the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back to the Donley Auctions Hour. I'm Susan. I'm co-owner of Donley Auctions, here with my partner, Randy Donley. We're located just 60 miles west of Chicago in beautiful Union, Illinois.
Hey, Susan, today I did want to talk about beer signs in general. It's something we've not really delved into too much. We're always on the air asking everybody for signs from buildings. I mean, big, full-size signs that advertise anything and everything, but primarily always Petroliana. We're looking for the porcelain signs and neon and so on and so forth. So a woman listens to our show, calls up and says, I've got... First, she said a beer sign, and I'm thinking it's a beer sign from a building. And then when she said, well, I have over 150 of them, then it occurred to me that they're small, signs from
saloons
inside.
Yeah. Well, she sent some photos, too, and there were just like a row of them. Maybe, 20. So you guys get there, and what happened?
Well, one thing that I want to point out to our listeners is that just like every collecting hobby or trade or anything, sign collecting, beer sign collecting breaks down. Listen to this run. It's going to take me a minute or two here, but this is just the different categories that people collect, because many beer sign collectors, they won't just take any sign. They collect by one of these categories.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay, neon, whether it's plastic or lighted metal, there's a difference. Porcelain, metal unlighted, glass signs, mirrored signs, plastic light-up signs, plastic motion, plastic action, action only, signs with clocks, Steins and signs, signs with bottles in them, or collecting by brand. There's chalk statues. There's, plastic convex ovals. Some people only collect auto-related beer signs. And then some are statue style, like the Schlitz Lady, for example. Some only collect pool table lights. Then there's people that collect the giant bottles, and some only collect the plastic ones. Some collect the glass ones.
Oh, my goodness.
There's thermometer signs. There's beer signs on rugs. There's lighted fixtures. There's people that only collect new in box, of course. And then when it gets even beyond that, then we start into beer trays and steins and so on. So, and then, of course, by company, whether it be only Pabst or Hams or Blatz or Schlitz or Budweiser. So
that is a huge collector's industry out there.
So we could do 20 shows on beer sign collecting. But, Susan, the purpose of this show is not to try to teach people about their own hobby that, they know about. Mm-hmm. We're trying to help people that have collections and might not know how to sell a whole collection or how to get rid of it. Over the years, people didn't necessarily collect with the thought in mind that there's an end game to this. at some point we need to sell that collection, or we need to empty out the house or get rid of that collection. And very often that falls on relatives. Right. And they don't know anything about the hobby. So the purpose of this show is truly not necessarily to teach about collecting, but it's how to help people that have collections get rid of it.
Right.
So,
wow. So we have a big beer collection I saw walking in the door this week. Tell us about that. Beer sign collection.
Well, yes. Again, that's what we were just kind of touching on there. These over 150 signs walked in, and we're going to be selling them, soon. We'll pick a date for that. Some of them may go into the January auction, and to that end goal, I have my brother Mike with us today. So, folks, Mike is here, and we're going to talk a little bit about this particular collection.
Great. Hi, Mike.
How's it going?
So,
good.
You looked at the collection yesterday. What was your initial thought?
Just beautiful. I mean, it is, when you see it all spread out here, in fact, I'm standing in front of it right now, it's just stunning. It really is. I mean, this person collected, obviously, for many years, but focused on a very narrow category. Like you said, he liked his vacuum form signs and motion signs. That's what he was, his target he was collecting.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. When I'm telling our listeners out there that we are always looking for collections, I mean, we'll certainly help people with one-offs also. I mean, the other day, a person called us with a Budweiser sign, one of those hanging fixtures with the big clear plastic surround that had a Clydesdale horses pulling a wagon around in a circle. That also had a clock with it. And I mean, those go for some really good money.
Oh, yeah. And condition's everything. Condition, whether they work or not, is always everything with the signs, especially the plastic signs, because they were just never made to last. I mean, these were throwaway. I mean, never meant to last like some of the earlier, more porcelain signs that, 100 years later, they're still in perfect condition, but this plastic stuff was made to throw away. So condition is always everything. I mean, if it's broken or faded or whatever, it affects the value a lot.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because we're talking, I was just mentioning this Budweiser sign, for example, and I remember the owner saying to me, "Oh, I saw on eBay they want $4,000 for one of these." Well, first, when you do look on eBay, yeah, that might be the asking price. There's no doubt. But you have to go to the sold section or the search completed to find out what some of this stuff is really going for. And that very sign I was able to find online, and I saw that they were asking $4,000, and then there was a big X through it, which means they took less. And the true selling price of that particular sign, or those signs, depending on condition, is normally around $900 to $1,200. I mean, with some exceptions being a little more, but big difference between somebody thinking they're going to get $4,000 and ending up with $900. It's not the fault of the auction house.
No, absolutely not. And we were, all of us are lucky enough to grow up in an area, Chicago, Milwaukee, Wisconsin area, beer capital of the world. I mean, so we grew up seeing all these signs in stores and in taverns and such like that. So we're used to a lot of it. And we're talking about signs that were very popular in the 60s and 70s, and 50s, 60s, and 70s. It's post-war, World War II, when vacuum form plastic really took off. Remember the ham signs, what they call the motion signs with the waterfalls and everything? Mm-hmm. Those are some of the most collectible signs around. I mean, they'll in very nice condition, they'll bring upwards of $1,000 or more for a single sign.
Well, when I was doing search completed, I did see a few of those ham signs that actually hit $2,000. So
it's amazing. I mean, and you see these things at garage sales. Again, these are things that were still hanging in people's basements, at their little bars and such that they had in their basement. their favorite tavern, when they changed signs, they would just give them away to the customers and stuff. So they went home to people's basement bars and such. And a lot of people don't realize they got a lot of money hanging on the wall with some of these signs.
You know, you just brought up an interesting point, and that is we just mentioned that we're just past Pearl Harbor and everything. You know, that whole World War II generation came home from the war. All these veterans, they came home from the war and built in their homes a basement bar. They all had a bar that always had a slot machine in it, a pinball machine, a pool table, and beer signs. I mean, how many homes have we gone into, Mike, over the last 50 years of our lives with that exact scenario?
Well, everyone we grew up with in the neighborhood in Berwyn, I mean, everybody had them. That was it. That was the thing. Everybody partied in their basements.
Yep. So there's a lot of these signs out there. You don't have to be a collector with a collection. We're interested in acquiring more. Always.
Right. So do you think we'll be launching a Breweriana auction in the near future then, right? What other items would we be looking for? Signs, statues, all kinds of great stuff, posters.
You know, and it doesn't even have to be a beer. I mean, whiskey was the same thing. I mean, there was, you know, a lot of the whiskey brands all had these bar top plastic and signs and little statues and things. I mean, that it was the point of purchase sales and such, even from grocery stores and such like that. That's all valuable stuff.
Thanks, Mike, for that information. We'll probably have you coming up next.
Stick with us, Mike.
Stick with us, Mike. He always has some good stories, too. But if you do want to consign with us, consign at DonleyAuctions.com, 815-923-7000. Give us a call. Don't go anywhere, folks. You're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour right here every Saturday on AM 560, The Answer.
You're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back to the Donley Auctions Hour. I'm Susan, here with Randy and Mike Donley today, talking about items you may have at home that you might want to put up in auction.
You know, we're mentioning Breweriana and sign beer sign collecting and everything, but what most people probably aren't even thinking about or aware of is 2023 marks 90 years since the end of Prohibition. So Prohibition ended in 33. Of course, the president changed that just in time for the World's Fair. What a surprise.
Right.
But an interesting little fact that in 1910, you know, way before Prohibition, there were 1,570 breweries in this country. 1,570. So in that span of time from 1920 to 1933, when they put in Prohibition, where, in case you're not familiar with Prohibition, they couldn't sell alcohol during that period of time, which, of course, then started control of, you know, people like Al Capone, who sold alcohol illegally. But when it was repealed in 1933, there were less than 10 out of 1,570, less than 10 breweries were ready to go right up and run with getting their breweries started. And even 1 year after, there were only 714 breweries that ever made it back, less than half of the breweries. And by 1970, only 89 breweries were left in this country. 89 breweries, but that's controlled by only 42 companies.
Oh, wow.
So what an incredible devastation of the breweries did the
Let's hope history does not repeat itself. That's for sure.
Let's get back to science.
That's why you find the rise of the microbreweries and such now. I mean, you know, with all the specialty beers and such. So.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's so interesting because I wonder really if there is a count on how many microbreweries there are. I wish I would have looked that up.
Can I just give a quick shout out to my favorite brewery,
Sure.
So Hopped in Huntley. If you haven't been there yet, folks, make a trip out to Huntley and check out So Hopped. Tell Lance Susan sent you.
Okay, so ding, ding, ding. There's a free commercial from Susan on her favorite brewery. Okay, so
go ahead. We're still talking about signs, though, too, because one of the bits of information I have is the evolution of beer signs. You want to talk about that real quick?
Can we? Let's hear it.
Okay. So in the 1850s, most of the beer signs were hand-painted wood or metal. In the 1880s, they came out with the full-color lithograph paper signs. In the 1890s, they did painted reverse on glass signs and commercially made tin signs. Then now we're going into the 1930s with my favorite, large porcelain signs. And in the 40s is when the neon signs came out. All the way up into the 50s with the fluorescent lit plastic signs. And then today, the LED signs. So my question is, out of all of those types of signs, guys, what are we looking for? What is the most valuable today?
Go ahead, Mike. You lead off.
Well, I would say without a doubt probably the porcelain signs and the reverse paint glass signs, but they're also the rarest. I mean, most of those have been collected up and are only coming out of collections. If you're starting to collect today, you're going to pay a good price for those, but they are the most outstanding signs. They're probably the easiest to get at and the most colorful and some of the most fun are the vacuum form signs from the post-war when the vacuum form plastic industry exploded. I mean, some of the biggest companies that made them, Thomas Schultz out of Morton Grove and Bossograph out of Chicago and Lakeside Plastics out of Wisconsin. I mean, their signs are iconic. I mean, and they're really gaining value. I mean, you could have bought these. You still find them at garage sales, $5-10, but, you know, those signs are worth hundreds of dollars now.
Well, and to your point, $5-10 at garage sales, that happens all too often. And hence the purpose of our show, letting people know how to sell, where to sell, and how to get the most money. So, Susan, give them our info
yes.
again.
They should know this by now. 815-923-7000. I will always remind you to give us a call. Or you can email us at consign, C-O-N-S-I-G-N, at Donley, that's D-O-N-L-E-Y, auctions.com. Send us your information, folks. We will pass it on to the right person and get back to you with your next steps.
Now, here's another interesting thing that just happened to us this week. We always love folks that you call in or send us pictures of the most interesting stuff because one of our now friends is Mike in Wooddale called us with a collection of liquor, high-end liquor.
How did that go?
Wonderful. He had a great collection. And so we're probably going to be staging a high-grade liquor auction in the near future. So we can sell
liquor at auction without a liquor license?
Oh, no, you have to have a liquor license, Susan. And
all right.
These are all the licenses, folks, that we carry. If you have any questions about, just like selling liquor, we can help you sell anything. We'll always carry the proper licensing and permits, which, we always mention about firearms. We have our FFL,
That's
and
right.
all state and federal laws are complied with for you. That's
Just know that we're the place you should
us.
call. The place to go to sell your items. That's for sure. Join us after the break, folks. We're going to have some more interesting stories, tell you about some other auctions we have coming up, and we're going to talk more about items we're looking for that are of value. That's the key. These are the items that are of value. We also know a lot of stuff that's not worth putting in auction today, and we can talk about that too. You're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour right here every Saturday on AM 560, The Answer.
And now, more of the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
We are back with the Donley Auctions Hour. Thanks for sticking with us during that break. I'm Susan, co-owner of Donley Auctions, here with my partner, Randy Donley. We are from Donley Auctions in Union, Illinois. We have Shauna Donley on the phone with us today. We're going to talk about the Donley Group. But before we get Shauna on the line, Randy, you want to wrap up what we just finished talking about that last segment?
I really do, Susan, because we were talking about beer signs and breweries and everything. But I need to remind everybody out there that we're always looking for bars and back bars.
Oh, yes.
I mean, the big full-size saloon bars that were all over Chicago and suburbs. We just sold at our last auction the last bar that we had in-house. So I mention this because they're big, heavy items, and most people would have no clue how to, get it out of your location, let alone selling it. And this is all what we do. We will come into, if you have an old saloon bar in a building throughout the Chicago area or anywhere, really. We travel all over the country.
Oh, yes, and you guys are experts in dismantling those bars.
We absolutely can dismantle this and have it out. The last time I went into a place, a woman says to me, is this going to take about a week? And I laughed and I said, we're talking hours here, ma'am. I said, we will be out, probably by lunchtime. And sure as heck we were. We can move them quickly, efficiently, and get you the top dollar when we sell it.
That's great. So, if you do have one, call us at 815-923-7000. If you have a bar or back bar, I'm going to put you on the line directly with Randy Donley. That's
you
for
got
sure.
it.
All right.
Just last week, again, we went to a home to look at a liquor collection. Mm-hmm. And, of course, my question then was, well, what are we doing with the house here? And they said, well, we're going to have to sell it. And that's where Shauna comes in, Shauna Donley.
Shauna to the rescue.
My daughter. And we can always help with the real estate. So I've asked Shauna to come back on today, right now. Hey, Shauna, you on the line?
I am. Hi, guys.
Hi, Shauna. Thanks for joining us. Hoping you can tell us a little bit about the Donley Group and what's happening there and about interest rates. I know there's a lot going on in the news.
Absolutely. Well, like you were just saying, I run the Donley Group. We are real estate brokers with at Properties Christie's International. We are based in Chicago and the northwest suburbs, but we can help you in all 50 states. We've got partners everywhere. But like Randy was just saying, yep, we went into this house and met with the family, and there's a very good chance they'll be calling us come late winter to get this house listed. But Susan, like you had just mentioned, with interest rates, the Fed has released a statement that they're going to be lowering them next year between 4 and 6 times. So I'd like to let all the sellers know that now's the time. Give us a call. We'll get your photos done. We'll be ready to go on the market right after the holidays, because it's going to get competitive, and it's going to get competitive before the interest rates drop. We're telling all of our buyers to take advantage now. Get your good price now. You can refinance later when rates go down.
Wonderful.
You know, I'm glad you brought one thing up, Susan, Shauna, when you said there's a good chance that we will be listing this house, and that is this point. When we go into homes, folks, we do not come in there with some strong arm tactic where we're trying to consign your collections or to walk out of there with a contract in hand on real estate or anything. We are truly there to come in, introduce ourselves, give you our opinions, whether it be on the antiques or antique collections. We'll give you free estimates of our belief in pricing and everything. And the same with the real estate. Again, we'll come in there just simply to introduce ourselves and
But I always like to tell people it's a no obligation consultation.
Right, no cost.
Right. And why wouldn't you want to call us just to get some information and get an idea of what to do next?
Well, exactly. And so often we hear in these houses, well, our neighbor wants to buy the house. Well, that's great. And I hope that works out for everybody. But what's the neighbor offering? Is it really market value? Can we get you more money? And that's our goal, not only for the items that we consign, but for the properties too. We want to get our sellers the most money as possible.
And I want to remind everybody out there that we're not talking about auctioning your property. The Donley Group doesn't come in and try to set up an auction. Shauna is a broker. Or explain yourself, Shauna, again, who and what you do and what the process is.
Oh, absolutely. Well, the first thing to do is to give us a call. We'll print up a CMA for you, let you know our broker price opinion on the house, on the neighborhood, come in, let you know if there's anything that you might want to do with the house to get top dollar for it. But we do list our properties nationally, internationally. We work with an international real estate group, like I said, at Properties Christie's International. And you get listed on the MLS. You're on every house search platform. We get you international exposure. And contrary to popular belief, we are still getting multiple offers on our listings.
Well, and there's a very good point when people say, oh, I have a neighbor who's interested. So often neighbors want to get in there and buy as cheap as they can. Not always, but in most cases, or many cases, I should say, they want to get in there, do some work and flip the house and make money on it. And we can get you more in most cases than selling it outright.
That's right. Now, Shauna, tell us again how we can get a hold of you.
Absolutely. Well, you can go straight to the Donley Auctions website, click on the real estate tab, and my information's right there. You've got my email and my cell phone number. You can call, text me, anything you'd like, any time of the day. I'm always available.
Wonderful. Thank you, Shauna, so much for that information. Anything else, Randy? The Donley Group is kicking off this year in 2024. Give us a call.
Not with real estate right now. We've got many houses that we have actually signed up because people have called us with other things.
That's right.
So you just never know, folks.
You got to call us. There's no obligation. I mean, we're not going to hurt you, I promise. You're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour right here every Saturday at 1 o'clock on AM 560, The Answer. Don't go anywhere. We're not done yet.
The Donley Auctions Hour continues now on AM 560, The Answer.
We are back with the Donley Auctions Hour with Susan and Randy Donley of Donley Auctions in Union, Illinois. We're just 60 miles west of Chicago, and we've been talking today about some great items that you may have at home or in your basement or your man cave or she shed that might be of value that you might want to put up in auction in 2024. So we have several auctions coming up already that we want to talk about and make sure you have it on your calendar. Right, Randy?
Well, we do. We certainly want to remind everybody that our next gun and ammo auction is coming up next Saturday and Sunday.
December 16th and 17th. The doors open at 8 a.m. The auction starts at 10 a.m. However, if you want to come by Friday, the day before, from noon to 7 p.m., you can preview all the items. We'll have Neil, our firearm expert, there to answer any questions. Bring your driver's license and your FOID card so that you can handle those firearms. We'll give you a wristband. So that's one way to bid, right? To come on out to Union. We're 60 miles west on 90, just right off of Route 20 up by the Wild West town. Easy to get to, easy in and out, that's for sure. So that's one way to bid. I always like to mention everybody will have complimentary donuts and coffee and complimentary pizza and beer at lunchtime. Who else does that? Nobody. Donley Auctions does. So come out live. That's one way to bid at the auction. Another way to bid is to submit what we call an absentee bid. You're basically just putting in the maximum bid of an item you would like to bid on. However, that does not mean you're going to pay the maximum amount. It just means we're going to use that as a basis to get the bidding going, and you will probably more likely get the item for less, right? The third way to bid in an auction, if you cannot come out, is a phone bid. And those we usually reserve for items that are about $500 in value and higher. And that means I will get on the phone with you and bid on your behalf as if you're standing right next to me in the auction gallery. So again, call us at 815-923-7000 if you have any questions on how to bid at the auction next weekend.
And then, of course, in January, right around the corner, we have an antiques auction. We're looking for more cars, always. And military relics. We actually have a whole nother military relic auction coming up. And plenty of time to consign for that, too, folks.
That's right. So, that one's January 6th. Again, that's Saturday, and it starts at 10 a.m. But we are still taking consignments for that, but we need them soon.
We do. And a couple items that I really am looking for is paratrooper groupings. Anything World War II paratrooper, I'm really hot after finding some good groupings. So if your family member was in the paratroopers, I want their items for auction. Now, I want to remind lawyers and municipalities, any legal groups and everything, too, that, we will help with estate work, always looking for that. And municipalities, if you have any statues or cannons and items like this that you want to get out of the parks or you have in storage somewhere, we can help sell all these items for you.
That's right. And mark your calendars, too, for this one. January 20th, Cars and Antiques. We have some great items that we couldn't get into our big annual November Classic that were kind of overflowed into this January 20th auction. Wow, the coin-op items, we have advertising, vintage clothing, the list goes on and on, furniture, all kinds of great stuff.
And more cars.
And lots of cars, motorcycles.
Yep.
Wagons, all kinds of great stuff.
If you've got some old Model Ts or A's sitting in your garage or warehouse around the city or suburbs, call us.
That's right. We also have a sports memorabilia coming up next year, toys, an ordnance collection in March. I cannot wait for that. That's like 1,000 items, isn't it?
It sure is.
And 2 music auctions and 1 in Lake Geneva. So check out our calendar, folks, on DonleyAuctions.com. If you have any questions, call us at 815-923-7000. For now, I'm Susan.
And I'm Randy Donley, and we'll see you at the auction.
Thanks for listening to the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer. Check out all the latest information on upcoming auctions and collectibles at DonleyAuctions.com. And while you're there, you can contact someone about buying or selling your collectibles or estates. That's DonleyAuctions.com.